let's deal with what we've got here.
All right. We'll just talk really loud. Can you hear me? Yeah. All right. My name's Don Rogers. I've been with this club for, I believe, 4 years now. I've been a turner for 7 years. A little bit about myself. I born and raised in Denver, 20 years in the Marine Corps, came back here, been working for the federal government for the last 20 years. Yeah. So that's me. What I'm going to talk about tonight is this large 3-watt laser. This one's about 23 by 27 inches. It's a laser that you can actually pick up and set it on top of something like this here, where you can do large objects. When I bought the laser, it was with the idea that I was going to do a lot of large objects. So far I haven't. The largest object I've done is this butterfly. And I'll pass this around so you guys can take a look at it. But it does still give me the option to do larger projects. It's just the problem is the larger projects that you do with these take up a lot of time, heats up the laser, and when it heats up the laser, it'll stop working. So you got to kind of decide to go with less of a design if you're going to do a large object, or more detail if you're going to do a small object. If you want to pass that around.
A question. Can you stop the laser during a project and then continue it once it's cooled off?
It depends on the program that you're using. Some programs will allow you to do that. I found that by trying to do that, sometimes the laser will readjust and won't go back to the same place. So it's better if you get a more of a modern laser. I bought this probably about 2 years ago. The price has already dropped on it. The technology's gotten better. So I would say probably go ahead and get a newer laser right now. They go up to 10 watts that I've seen. A 10-watt laser will do some cutting. This primarily will just do engraving. So what I'm going to show you a little bit about this is the program that will be running this system. I know a lot of people are out here going, well, I don't want to deal with a computer. It's not that big of a deal. The computer is just a tool to get everything started. Once you get it started, you can go ahead and just leave it go, walk away. But make sure you have plenty of ventilation. I made that mistake. I closed my garage door and went in the house. When I came back out, I was lucky I didn't have a smoke detector in there. It was pretty bad. All right, I'm going to pass around a few more of these objects too as I talk about them a little bit once I start burning. You can adjust the speed of the laser. You can adjust the intensity of the laser, at least on this one. And you'll see by looking at some of these that the faster it burns at a lower speed, it barely makes a mark on the wood. And sometimes that's what you want. Other times, you want to slow it down, and you'll get more of a burn in. I'll go ahead and pass those two around. All right. You want to go ahead and shine the... Go ahead. Okay. So this program is called BendBox. And first thing you have to do is when you pull up the program is you have to make sure that all the settings from the computer are set up correctly. By doing that, first you need to know what COM port you're working on. This computer is working on COM port 3, so you want to make sure that that's set. You want to make sure that your, let me see, pull this up here, your firmware is set in here. Notice that this is still set at COM port 3. This is the firmware. I'm not going to try to reset it because it takes a little while, but once you get the firmware set up, you click on the check mark. Once you get a green check on there, then you'll see that it's ready to go and you can start burning. Some of the other parts of this program here, you can open or close this. And there's no instructions at all that come with this program. So YouTube is your friend. All right. This program here will give you the speed, as I was talking about, of how fast you want it to burn. It will give you the intensity. If you go to this side, that's what the PPM is, and the feed rate. So, go back here. So once you have all that set, next thing you want to do is you want to make sure it's not set on laser. You want to set it on servo. I've got it set on scan by line, or outline. That's what I want to do here. And let's move it over to here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and tell it to look at the project that I'm going to burn to and make sure that it's going to fit correctly on that project. You can do a lot of measurements and try to get it to work out correctly. I find just by setting it out there, doing what I'm about to do here is the best way to find out if the area is covered that you want to use. So what I'm going to do next is, and you might want to point over there. This little light that comes on right now is just to show you where it's going to burn, or the area that it's going to burn in. And you can see it's moving right now. Sorry. So I wanted to make sure that you got the edges on both the top and the bottom, and it's going to fit in nicely in the center. Now you can set the little dot up here in the left corner if you want to start with, and it'll do the whole picture from that corner from the computer. Or what I do, like I said, just center the whole thing. You know exactly where the center of everything is. Start the process, and it'll do exactly what it's doing now, only with the picture. Okay, so that fits just right in there. You can adjust the picture in the program so that it can be larger or smaller, and that's where I was talking about. You can do the whole area, but you don't need to. Okay. This little thing I'm going to pass around now, it's got two sides to it, and it'll show you the difference between what I'm going to do right now is mark by line. And on the other side is where it actually just burns by the dots going back and forth. And you'll see the difference between the two.
Most of our wood turnings are not flat. How much curvature can this thing live with?
This one's not going to do a lot. What these guys are going to talk about on pin turning, it'll be able to do that. There are jigs that you can make in order to cause it to rotate, whatever your project is. And what's nice about this is you can lift it up, just put something under the feet to get it higher. So if you have a bowl or something that you want to carve on the outside of it, and you have this jig turning it, you just have to come up with the correct timing for it to go all the way around. Now, if you wanted to do the top of the bowl, I've got some Celtic rings, things like that will go right on the top or even on the bottom. You can engrave your name or whatever you want on the bottom of the bowl, some sort of design. What I do is I go out to YouTube, I download clip art, and it's free to download, and I use a lot of that. There are other clip arts you can buy and use those. Those are commercial items, and you have permissions when you buy them in order to sell that stuff.
Is that a vector image you're working with there, or is that a raster?
This is RAF. This is not vector. So what a vector image is if you download that off the internet and you want to enlarge it, it will allow you to enlarge it up to a certain size, fairly large size. Raster image, you can only go so far, and then you start getting a lot of pixelation. Now, I have not burnt this item before that I downloaded, so we're going to see what's going to happen. I'm going to burn it onto a pin box. All right, I'm going to get started. And while this is burning, these guys can start talking about what their projects are. Okay.
Talk about a shield.
Yep.
By the way, so when he starts burning, he's going to put a shield in front. So don't look at the laser itself. You can look at the laser on the camera. The camera will watch the burn, and you can see it happening up there. But this is not, it's not something you want to watch. It'll hurt your eyes over time.
Yep.
So it's not good to get direct contact with the laser itself. So watch it on the screen and try to avoid getting a flash off the laser itself.
Some of the other safety features, especially on this one here, there is no safety features. So,
yeah, they tell you very little.
Yes. So if you're going to try to engrave on something shiny that's going to reflect, maybe back into your eye. So you don't want to try to do something like that. If you want to do, like, let's say the back of a mirror, you can do that, which is a really cool project because it'll engrave what you want and then you can put that mirror into a wood turning or something. If you want to do it on other shiny objects, you can mark that shiny object with a Sharpie or something like this, and it will engrave that way. But again, don't try to do shiny objects because it's going to bounce all over the place. It's not safe.
I've used medical lasers, and most of these lasers will have, if you figured out the specific glasses that for that exact reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even with these glasses, though, I wouldn't suggest looking right at it for very long.
And with what he's talking about with the flashing coming off of shiny objects, they make a shielding that you can actually put around them for each laser. Because let's face it, a lot of us are in our shops working, and if somebody walks in and catches a flash off this, it's not going to hurt them, but prolonged in there with it could bother their eyes, and it affects your color vision. So they make a shield that you can put up. So if you're in an area where you're going to be running one and there's going to be people around, or you're going to be in the same room with it, it's advisable to get a shield up in front of you.
Similar to a welding shield.
Yeah.
Just as an arc welding will burn your eyes, so will this.
Now, as I said, I started with the servo. I'm going to change that over to the laser now and get started. Go ahead. Maybe. There it goes.
Is this at full power or what power?
I'm sorry?
What power setting are you doing right now?
This one is a 3-watt laser, and I've got it set at 1500. Let me turn on the fan.
Getting dirty from the smoke?
Okay, I guess I'll go next while everybody's watching this. My laser and Marty lasers are the lower end of the cheap lasers. None of these lasers are going to cut well. If you go up to the 10 watt on that or the 20 watt on this, you're going to have a lot of burnt edges. You go out here to Woodcraft and buy that $10,000 one out there, you can cut whatever you want. These are basically for engraving only. Okay. I bought this one to engrave on pen blanks and ring blanks. When I bought this, it was about $75. Guns was about $300, and then they came out with this one, which is mid-range, about $200, $160.
170.
170. So I can do nice little flat stuff, but that's about as big as it's going to get, or that, because what happens is my table moves and the laser moves. Okay? But it's confined to that little red square area. Okay? I do have a pen jig. This one happens to be Benson Pace's pen jig, and what it does is, as Marty and I have the same toys. Is a pencil base pen jig. It's basically operated by a rubber band. As the table moves, it turns the pen blank, and you can do it around, as Tom asked. Can you do round things? Yeah, you can. Okay, this one, the largest you really want to do is a bottle stopper, because that's all that'll fit in there. Okay, but like Bob's, you can do different stuff and a lot larger stuff. So I'll pass this around. That's the basic jig. You can get fine detail as well as no detail.
What controls the rotation?
As the table moves, it turns the pen. It's complete. Yeah, it's a rubber band. It's completely mechanical. It's nothing fancy. It's not cogs. It's not Anything else? Oh, there's a butterfly. Somebody else asked,
Here to the table.
what else can you do on them? Here's a ring mandrel. I put the ring that I just made out of polymer clay. For those people who were at our pen meeting, I did the polymer clay deal. This pen came out of one of the canes that I had made. And once again, it's the same thing. The rubber band turns it. You engrave whatever you want on it. The original one came with a cone and a flat washer. And the guy who designed it found out that it's really tough to get it centered with the flat washer, so he reinvented it. Now there's a cone on each side. And the last thing everybody asks is, can you burn plastic with these lasers? And yes, you can. His is a 3 watt, mine's a 1.5 watt. Bob's is a 3.5, and I think mine is a 1,003.
15, 15 and then 3,000, yeah.
So
Microwatt.
this is burnt with a 1.5. Once again, you can't burn directly onto it. You have to coat it with something, and that something is dry erase or marker.
Even the big epilogue and those other big lasers, the ones that are actually able to cut plywood and cut these figurines and stuff out, when they etch or engrave, they also have to put a etching powder or spray on something that's shiny, whether it's like a stainless steel or something to that effect, like a Yeti mug. When you see these engravings on it, they've had to put a powder or a spray on it that's made for etching to be able to etch through that so that it would burn the color onto the stainless steel. So it's not just because these are the small machines, even the large machines have to do that same thing because it just won't adhere to the shining surface.
So on the plastic, I use dry erase marker because it's actually a powder. Anybody who's been in the classroom knows that dry erase isn't a true marker. I tried it with Sharpie on this, and if you go directly on the other side of where the gold dragon is and run your finger, you can feel some little bumps, not much. That was done with a Sharpie, and I think the whole reason is because the dry erase marker is a powdered form of ink, and the Sharpie is a liquid form, much finer color in it. And no, it wasn't a gold deal. That's rub and buff in there. And don't look real closely because you can see how bad of a sanding job I did. Any of you want to see how good you are at sanding? A little rub and buff on there, it'll show you every mistake you made. Okay, other neat thing I just joined the laser group is that you can get all these cool little wood cutouts from the dollar store for $1 for 12, from Michael's, Hobby Lobby, 50% off already because Christmas is over. And you can make your Christmas ornaments.
Well, to them it is anyway.
And then a little bag of various shapes that you can make. What I was thinking of is they make really good deals to set on your table with price tags on them. Prices if you do it in groups. You know, everything under here is $5, $10, whatever. And the last thing is where you can get all this stuff at. I am not a computer whiz, my wife is, and she did some of these QR codes. If you take one of these, it will give you a place where you can buy at least these 3 lasers. This one, I think.
eBay.
Huh?
eBay.
eBay, Amazon.
Yeah. This place is actually in the U.S. though. You can buy them off of Gear Best, off of AliExpress for a little bit cheaper. This lady imports them and she opens them up and tests them so that when they don't work, you're not stuck with trying to talk to Chinese people over in China to get your money back or get another one sent. She does all that work for you. She tests it out, she zeroes it. It's a pretty good deal. Also on this QR code would be the green deals for a 405 nanometer laser, the shielding, and also just what we talked about. Marty has, the new ones come with the shielding. When I bought mine and when Marty bought his first one,
Yeah, my first one's up there.
there is no shielding in it.
Correct. You got a pair of glasses
You
and.
got a pair of
Good
very
luck.
cruddy glasses.
Yeah, mine broke already.
So if you want to take a look at that, it'll take you to a web page that I put up, and you can see all the data on where we got most of this stuff. All of it can, once again, be bought from China directly, and you save between $5 and $10. You buy at your own risk. When I bought mine, I bought it with 2 other people, and one person's came completely crushed, and one person got one that the laser didn't work at all. I got the winter one. Mine has worked for 3 years now, no problems. So.
You better knock on some wood.
The customer service with the company he's talking about getting these from is A1. She also has 3 Facebook pages full of tech support. If somebody ever gets on there with a question or a problem, she simply just tells them, give me a chance here, an hour, 2 hours, whatever, I'll call you. And she'll get right on the phone with you and take care of get you dialed in. So if you're newer to lasers, she's a great asset.
And she does all things. I mean, she does the lasers, she does 3D printers, and she does CNC routing. So it's a one-stop shop in the area.
I'll tell you, I dealt with her on Saturday morning after we had our board meeting for the other club. I left the club with knowing I had a demo tonight, and my original laser that is wireless. There's a wireless version that runs off your cell phone, so you do not have to have it powered. It's battery controlled and everything, and that's the one I originally got. It's a 1500 also. I loved it. I ordered one from Amazon, supposed to be battery backup just like it is, like the first one it is. It came, it was not. I was really upset. Tried to get a hold of that supplier. Came in, I ordered it on Saturday morning. I got it Monday. Wasn't what I wanted. It actually is the one that doesn't have the back on it here. I did some playing with it, but I love Amazon, and it's getting sent back after the demo. But the reason I did this is because I love them. They're fun. It's paid for itself by engraving pins for me. So I ordered it. It wasn't what I wanted. I reached out to Ed and it said, hey, do you have this or that? And I had some questions, and he's like, you know what, call Nancy. So I didn't get hold. He sent me the link actually. So I got online. I saw that she had a 3000, which is this one. So I ordered it. $60, $17 shipping. She called me. I was shopping with my daughters. She called me about 15 minutes after I placed the order and said, Ed told me about you, that you might be calling. What can I do to make this happen? I said, well, the meeting's on Thursday night. I need it before Thursday. I need it Wednesday so I can set it up on the computer and get it. It showed up Wednesday. Originally, she was like, I don't know if that's time crunch. You know, it's telling me that it's going to be Thursday sometime before 9 o'clock. We'll see what we can do. She didn't charge me anything extra to get it expedited. Originally, when I got the one off Amazon, I'm like, I don't need it. I didn't make it in time to cancel the order. Now I'm happy that I did because they're 2 different machines. The power-wise makes a difference. Like Ed's version, the 1500 that he's got, he can't change the heat settings on his laser. Change the burn time faster or slower, but you can't change the heat settings. Robert can, or Bob can, and on the 3000 I can also. Same program, on these. Running program, it's what the computer in these things tells the program it's able to do. So it's able to, you've got more settings, just like on the big one. I can change the heat settings, I can change the burn rate, size it, do all kinds of things like that. So Nancy, yeah, pretty much is a rock star when in that kind of customer service. She called me right after I placed it, said, we'll see what we can do, and she did it. So I'm happy with what she did in that aspect, by all means. So go ahead, Ed.
Okay, so there's two people who make the jigs for rings, for bottle stoppers, etc. One is called Mike Shortness, and he makes these out of 3D printed material. Marty likes this. I didn't like mine. I liked Benson's, which was the wood one that just went around. So there's basically two different people you can buy it for. They both make it for this machine also. Nancy carries Benson's only. T-Shadow, which if you use that QR code will take you to both of them. T-Shadow, who also does carbide cutters for turners and stuff, carries Mike Shortness, and Nancy carries Benson's. Then somebody was asking about how hard it is to do this. These machines, I'm pretty sure even the newer ones, all just have a, you drop a JPEG in it. It's real simple. JPEG, drop in it. You can increase the size, decrease the size. The machine itself won't do it to the size you want. You can take it into Paint or CorelDRAW or any of the other drawing programs and do your stuff to it, save it as a JPEG, drop it into the screen, and it'll burn from there. The plastic piece I have going around was a dragon. I have a white piece of plastic Corian type in here, just for this man over here. And we'll be burning the dragon again on there. And once again, though, I can't change my settings. I can only change my speed. So I have it at the very slowest speed possible. And I'll still end up having to do it twice. So, but I'll wait until after he's done burning because we don't know how much power we're sucking from these power outlets.
Yeah, these power strips are loaded.
Then the last thing is I'm going to introduce Bob as an overachiever. And we'll start out with toothpicks because he burned enough for everybody in the room to have a toothpick. And it says Rocky Mountain Guild on it. Rocky Mountain Woodturners Guild. And you can actually read this. He did do some that you actually need a magnifying glass to read.
So along with that, I'm gonna let you go hand them out.
I'll just pass this around. Go ahead.
On these, you can write with them. They have a font setting, so you can change the font. You can change the size of the font. The first ones that Robert did, he showed us Tuesday, was an 8 font. And if you know anything about Word documents and stuff, 8 is pretty darn small. He did
You couldn't hardly read it on the toothpick.
Yeah, the toothpick, one side of the toothpick was an 8, the other side of it was a 10. He took another toothpick and did a
12 and a 14.
12 and a 14.
That's
so
a
you
14 going around.
So you can see that, and then you can even get up really large. So there's a lot of avenues where this works for us, us pin turners up here, because that's really what I got it for, is to be able to do my pins. I have some name tags that I'm going to pass around. If you guys do craft shows, this is another avenue, and I'll show those after you show off your laser a little bit. But I wanted to talk about the font. That was yep. Okay. You burn it.
So we got ours to go with our blank making business to give us other avenues with it too. But one of the main things I wanted to be able to do was I am terrible with my handwriting and signing my work. I'm terrible. I've tried everything, every different way. I've wood burned in, I've wrote with Sharpie, you name it, I've probably tried it, and it's just illegible with my writing. So one of the things I wanted to be able to do with mine, and its requirement, was that I was able to do my logo on bigger items, any of my turnings basically. This one will do it. Yeah. So, and I'll pass this box around. So that is what I came up with this machine for the bottom of my turnings. And with the way this machine is set up, right now, I could burn this right in it and be okay height-wise. This one basically has an area that I can focus on from approximately a ½ an inch to 4 inches down. So I've got that much of a focus area that I can put a piece under. So I can focus right now on this piece of paper, or I can focus on this box. Go ahead, Tom.
If I brought you a fairly shallow platter to engrave the center of, would it do it?
Yes, as long as we do a fairly flat area. So if we get concave or radius the other way,
You would get some distortion.
you'll get lighter burnings in some areas.
How much depth can it handle?
So with this, I can raise it up as high as I want and put a bowl, a hollow form, whatever I want, and I just increase my width area. I just need to be between 1 and 4 inches from the top of my turning. You follow me? To focus on it. So I can do any of those turnings that are sitting on that table right now, I can put under here and burn.
So how much curvature can it handle?
So that is a question, and I honestly haven't answered that yet. I can tell you that that other box that's over there, if you pass that to Tom, you'll see that the engraving, you can see the bottom's concave.
Yes.
And I did it really light. I didn't do a very heavy burn. I wanted to see how much I could do on that concave surface, how much I lost. And you can see I lost a lot. And that's just a little concave area.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that you would lose a lot on a bowl.
Okay.
You need to do it on a flat area. The downside of this laser is that it's 6 by 6 is the burn area. So
You've probably got a deviation there of maybe 2 or 3 millimeter.
yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Now, if I darken that up, you wouldn't probably be able to tell the difference on that piece.
Yeah.
What you're gonna see, Tom, on that is we have to focus a dot wherever we choose to focus that, okay, is gonna be the ample, the brightest it's gonna be, the crispest cut or
Okay.
burn.
Okay.
And the lower you get or the higher you get, you're gonna get a wider,
Let's focus.
wider burn hole,
Yeah.
I guess is the way to put it.
Let's focus.
Yeah, less focus, so it's going to be larger or smaller, and that will dictate your out of focus or more burn or less burn on it. Yeah, and I've got some examples here on that too.
So I've had this laser literally about 3 months. We've been so busy with our other business that I honestly have had about a week and a half on it to play. So I've burnt maybe 20 items right now on it. I'm really new to this. I was messing around with cardboard to see what it would do to it. This laser is 3,500 microwatt. So will it cut? It'll cut through this paper. It won't cut deeper than that. So it would engrave in paper. You could actually use it for a stencil. So if you had a design, you could cut it on essentially on paper and then use that for your stencil. It would cut out your pattern. So that's a pretty neat feature I thought as well. This is a 6-inch wide pattern, so that's as wide as this laser, this area would print in one print. I could move this over and print beside it, but lining up may be another thing. So you'd have to set up a jig to make it line up right or something. And I'll pass that around. So this laser, the same company that he mentioned has it on their site, runs about $160 something, $65 or something. It's an NEJE 3500 microwatt, and unlike the little box lasers, they're great for pin turners and small items. I was gonna get one of them and do a medallion to put in my bottom of my pieces. But then I have to do a little inset in each one, and you have to inlay it in. But that would be an option if you've got a small laser like that. But with this one, being able to mount it on the platform and then raise it was a huge benefit for me. And price-wise, I mean, $160-something is. Yeah,
But that's like 2 Starbucks stops,
Yeah,
right?
that's nothing. Well, that's like $16 when I was growing up. I mean, but anyhow. So this is like you talked about being able to do pins and bottle stoppers. Absolutely, you can. The mic shortness jig that he talked about is the one that I have here. And doing your radius curves and stuff, how do we do them on a pin? Well, this one, if you can focus on that, is burnt in already. And you can see it didn't fade out along the edges like we talked about. And that's because when this one runs, now I'm not burning right now, I'm just focusing, but you can see that blank turning with the laser as it's moving. So it's actually rotating the blank as it goes. So that's an option for doing the outside of a bowl or something if you were able to rotate that piece at the same pace that this thing is moving, but calculating that all out, that's for somebody else, not me.
Tom could do it.
So the next thing is that this when you buy this jig, it comes with a bottle stopper manual. So I can do bottle stoppers as well. Basically, this bushing right here that this belt is running on needs to be the same diameter as my pin. And it comes with different bushings. So if I've got a fatter pin, I use a fatter bushing, and that makes it travel at the same rate as your pin diameter. Same thing here with a bottle stopper, only this one, I would put a bushing right here, and I would need to make that bushing the same diameter as my bottle stopper is, because bottle stoppers are all different. Every time you create one, it's going to be different, where pins are fairly close. And then you thread your bottle stopper right on here. This mounts to here, and then it would rotate it and burn it right in as well. So that's an option with that. I'll go over the software with this one as well, and then I'll start a print too. If you want to come back here, I'll show you the software, how easy it is to run this one. The software, when you buy the laser, it gives you the link. You go to the link and you download the software. The software, once it's downloaded on your computer, it'll work on your laptop, or you can run this one off of your Android phone. iPhone, no. It'll run on a Mac, but I hear it won't run on an iPhone.
It won't.
So,
No, and with this program, you can't run it with a phone. All you can do is take pictures and send the pictures to the computer via Bluetooth, and then you can print or engrave those pictures.
okay, so I'll start again. Let me take this off, and we'll get this going real quickly for you.
So just an update on my burn. This has been working great all year. Not tonight. So I'm trying to find out what's going on. For whatever reason, the firmware's probably messed up on it. Yeah, you can pass that around, but it did not turn out.
So once you got your laser and you've downloaded your software for it, you turn the laser on by plugging it into a power source, and you open your program. This is what you're faced with when you open it. It's going to connect. It's connected now, and now I have 5 options. I can go to my photo gallery, which if I was online right now, I would have a photo gallery. Their photo gallery probably has 500 pieces of clip art on it or more. At least. It's a cloud-based photo gallery. So it would automatically load that photo gallery, and you can use I could print any of them right now. Unfortunately, we don't have internet, so I don't have a photo gallery. Then I have my collection. If I save work, it goes to there, and I don't have anything saved in it really right now. And then I have a control that takes me back to the start screen, and if I had a more powerful laser in here, this would actually be a CNC as well. So it can actually cut. deeper. So cut items out. They do make an upgraded 20-watt version of this. You can also buy the laser that's a 20-watt for this. From what I understand, though, is that with this one, the detail on them toothpicks, you have detail, and the detail is incredible. But when you get into the more powerful lasers, like the 20-watt, they say that you lose the detail. So it'll cut, and it'll burn like crazy, but you lose detail with it. And then we also have a double click to insert text, which is what I've done on that pen. I double click, it takes you to a font. You get to select your font, you get to select your font size, and then you go from there. So that's a nice feature. Or I can drag an image here. Here's the good one. So drag an image here. So I happen to have one image, and it's the images that I burnt on that cardboard that's going around. I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to drag it over there. So I drug it there. That's the image that's burned in that cardboard.
Do you have a question?
Yeah, you can't adjust the intensity on a 20?
I can adjust the intensity, but with a bigger laser, you don't have such a fine, it's not as small a burn. So yeah, you could probably adjust it, but you still lose detail. That's what they say.
So you can drag any kind of photo?
Yes.
So
I could take a picture and drag it over here. I could drag a black and white, I could drag a whatever, a vector.
It will convert, you'll see.
JPEGs, whatever. So this basically now, I'm in the field here, it's going to tell me to select what I want to cut. So now I have the choice. If I double click it, it'll select the whole area. If I want to drag it, which this that I'm going to burn is just a little area, we're going to drag it to what we want to burn on it, because we could burn that whole thing on there, but the detail would be so, you would lose a lot of it. So we can choose what we want to burn. We'll choose that out of that picture. So that's what we're going to burn. We hit OK. It's going to tell me that I'm shrinking it. And now it's opened it up in this box, which lets me adjust the width and the height. So now I know what size this is. And this is all in millimeters. So I get this out, and I've got 65 millimeters I could do, up to. So we're taller than we are wider, so we'll go with the tall part. We'll adjust the height to, say, 50, so we know it fits. It just resized my object. So I could up it all the way to a 6x6 if I had, if my printer, if whatever I'm going to print on was bigger. So we'll hit OK. Now it gives me 9 options. Now these options are basically different versions of what this program is seeing. So if you look at them, as I hover over each one, they're going to be just a little bit different. And I can choose the one I like.
The crispness of the lines,
The darkness.
the detail, the darkness.
This one has shading in it on the bottom.
Yeah, which matches your picture a little better.
Yeah, that one, I like that one, but the palm trees are too dark to me. So, I don't know.
that one.
This one? Okay, so we'll click that one. So, now if I wanted to add text to it, I would come up here.
Oh, over there. You're good.
And then I go to my font, and
Zoom out.
let's say that the toothpicks that are going around are 14, so that's probably too small. Let's go to 16. And font's okay, we'll hit OK. And then now I can, when I hit insert here, there's an insert. When I click on that, it moves it over to the picture for me. And it's a little bit big to fit in there, so let's go back. And we'll go to 14. Insert. Still a little big. So let's go to 12.
Oh, you know what you gotta do? You gotta
Unsert.
yeah, undo the insert. and then you'll
Yeah,
resize it.
that's what it did. It didn't resize it, so try that again. 14, you said?
No, go 12.
12. Okay,
And then click
Insert.
There you go.
now it's smaller. So now we'll put that down a little bit above. Okay, so let's move it over. Oh, that's moving that.
You're done.
It's done, yeah, I'd have to start over. Okay, so we've got the lettering that we want. So we hit OK. Now it's ready to go. Now we have to center it on our piece. We're going to print it on this. So I can come in. Yeah, we're over here.
Go around the other way.
You can get onto that. So that square is that print area. So I have to move my piece or move the laser one.
And it's really just a light right now.
Yeah, it's just a light.
It's not.
So that's centered on that, pretty close. So we're going to hit stop. And now I have to adjust the focus. If you look at the light is out of focus. I don't know if you can see it.
I'm going to go to the other side.
Hold it up so they look at it. They'll be able to see the little dot.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see if you can see it on the
Block the
camera.
view. To your right.
If you can't, I can do it here too.
Oh, he's got it. He's got it.
You got it? Okay, so now on the bottom of this lens, being real careful, there's a dial. And if I turn the dial, the light gets smaller or bigger. I want to get it to the smallest spot that I can possibly get it. When I get so far, it's going to start getting bigger again. I know I went too far. So that's focusing it. Yep.
You can see it.
So I'm too big now. It's going bigger. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be close. So that dot should also be in the center of your burn area, the very direct center. So if you're trying to center it exactly on something and you mark the center spot, that dot should line up on your center.
Now,
The center perfect.
on the program, on this, you can actually hit another section of it, and it's a crosshairs, and you can turn crosshairs on, and then you can go to your picture and touch pictures, and then you can make sure it's right exactly where you want it on your project.
So it's
So
another-
if it's a dragon that has a big neck, and you want the neck in a specific spot on your project, you can make sure it's going to be there.
So on here too, I've got an up arrow, a down arrow, a left arrow, and a right arrow. And if I get it close and I go back here now, and I think, oh, I need to move it just a little bit to the left. So I can come over and hit this left button, and it's going to just move it a smidge. And I mean, it's like a millimeter. It's nothing. So it barely moves it. But I can keep moving it up, down, left, or right, however I want on the computer too, without even doing it there. Marty says move it to the right. Now it's backwards on my computer. So
You're right.
to my right. Let's try
Is that bottom corner
this way.
turning off?
Is that it? No?
That corner's over.
Getting worse, I think.
Getting worse.
Getting worse.
Getting worse, all right. See, I'm upside down compared to at home. How's getting better?
It is not. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
But now you're
Okay, so we just said,
Now you're off. It needs to go up
so up
or
is gonna be
down,
that
one
way.
or the other. There.
Okay. So that's how easy it is to adjust it off the computer. And then we're gonna hit stop, and now we're ready to burn.
And you're definitely much closer to center.
Yeah. So again, we can't watch it, but we'll start the burn process, and if he wants to come back here, he can show it being burned. And then Marty can start talking.
Needed some exercise today.
I know, sorry, we told you we were gonna make you work tonight.
All right, so I've been doing it. Ed bought his laser a few months before I bought mine, my first one, and we play a lot. And I had some plastic samples that I burned on, and what I did was took a picture of a jet mini lathe took it into paint, shrunk it, did what I needed to with it, and then dropped it into the program and saved it, and then I burned tags for myself with a name on it. And some of them are, and originally I was using a Sharpie, because you'll notice some of these are chrome and gold. Just playing around, I did a tattoo of my arm, and then I printed it on here because I was bored one day. It turns out pretty cool, but it's really small. You can see the detail, even though it's that small. And when you buy the lasers, they have a little sample of the butterfly, and that's pretty much as big as you can do on these machines. The original machines, like what Ed has, the table or the platform in it is about, well, it's not square, so it's rectangle. And that's the jigs fit on that rectangle base, so you can turn it. One of the Michael Shortness jig mounts both on the outside of the machine and then also to that table. With that table moving, that's what rotates your pin. With the new machines, the table's different. It's now square. So the old jig doesn't work on the new machines. You got to get a new jig, and he's made a new jig for it. It's a different jig. But I have the old machine that I really like. It has a base on it, so I took the base off it because there's no difference in the machine. Now I have two different size bases. Same size, didn't change how big I could cut or burn. I just now have two different bases so that I can still use that the jig that I already have. Leather. You can burn on leather. Suede. You flip that over. I did burn on something. I do not believe it turned out very well on that. No. That's actually the Jet Mini lathe, and the outline didn't turn out like it did on the little plastic tags. I also picked up some triangle plastics, and then I was trying to decide, because you can change the power of them and the burn rate. These other ones that I have, they're plastic, they're shiny, just like Ed's cylinder that he was cutting that he used with a Sharpie or with a dry erase marker. I was using a Sharpie in the beginning because I didn't even think about using a dry erase first. I'd use it with the black Sharpie, burn it, and then take the same Sharpie, run over it again, and then wipe it off instantly because it was wet. And then it would almost antique the picture. And that's what you're going to see in all these triangles and the different details. And the BT on the little tag that's on these is burn time.
Can you put a piece of painter's tape over it instead of?
I don't. I think I tried that at one point in time, and I don't think it'll burn through the painter's tape into your project. It'll burn onto the painter's tape, but that's not what you're wanting. You're wanting it onto the project. So the Sharpie actually in the kit, when you buy it, it comes with a nice little package. In the kit actually gives you now a black dry erase marker, and the tip of it actually has the eraser part of it. So you can actually use it and then burn it and then wipe it off real easily. The kit also comes with a no skid pad so that you don't have to use the rubber bands like we all have. This actually has a no skid pad. You put it on the platform, put your project on it, and then it won't move around as it's moving. Different, something new that they didn't have and now they do. And these programs are all be updating just like the phones and every app that we ever dream of. And the app that I'm running isn't the updated app that Bob's running. So the apps are identical, except for mine's an old version, 4.0. He's running 4.6. He has different things.
3.6.
3.6. He's running different things that my lasers will be able to run because there's no different in the apps. I just don't have the most up-to-date version that he does. And his little steps that we talk about, step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4, I don't see that screen. I know that those are the steps I have to do because I did a tutorial on it. It's just the newest app or newest version of the app, and it's really breaking it down so anybody could do it. Even my daughters could probably do it. So I'm going to burn. Can you picture what I'm burning here? This is off the gallery. I'm running my phone as a hotspot right now. So I do have internet on mine. And as soon as I get done burning it, we'll pull up the gallery and I'll show you the 10,000 pictures that are on the gallery. It's unbelievable.
You want to see the computer?
Yeah, that's fine. So obviously we here, so we promote where we're at. So moving the project around is these arrows here. The pinpoint where I was talking about is the crosshairs right here, where you can actually put it in the place on the project where you want it. And then the outline is the big square. And then the font, you can change the font up here. Same program that Robert's using, just a later version, or an earlier version of it. He's got the most recent version. Yours is still only about halfway done. They also give, in the kit, they give you a little green monocle, if you want to call it. And that's so you can actually use it to adjust the laser onto whatever your project is. Instead of putting your shield on when you know you have to take the shield off and play around with it. So some of the pictures that you'll find online, they have shields on 3 sides. I don't know where to get the other shields at. This one came with it.
We found them.
Did you find them?
They're not green, they're orange, but they're for this
Okay.
this
405.
NM.
So the other 2 shields will go on the outside, on the 2 sides, which makes it, if you're going to do it out in public or wherever, it makes it a little safer. Because my idea was to do it at craft fairs. I could have pen samples up on the table, have pens that are torn apart, because you can't burn them when they're put together. Have them torn apart. Somebody says, oh, I want one for my dad. His name is blah, blah, blah. He's a military. And this, you could put whatever, wherever he was served, and then his name or his rank and all that stuff on the pen. And then you could put it together and hand it to him, and it would be a custom pen at a craft fair that you wouldn't, just another avenue to offer something different that nobody else does. So, all right. How you doing?
Yeah, of course, mine stopped working altogether.
Oh, okay. Darn it.
I did want to mention to everybody, this is all based off of CNC technology. So CNC not only covers lasers, covers CNC machines like you see out here on the floor of Rockwood, or woodcraft, that will engrave into something. This is usually surface engraving. That one is a negative effect where it's actually taking things away. And then you have the 3D printers, which is also CNC, and that one is actually building up. So there are different programs to do different things. I wanted to show you something I 3D printed. And it's something that everybody probably can use in here. I'll pass that around. And when you print that out, it prints just like that. And you just break it away a little bit, and then you have the golden mean caliper in order to use on your woodcraft.
So that, one other thing I'll mention too on this one, compared to theirs, is that with this one, I can adjust the, what they call laser power. So I can adjust the power of it down. It's burning real dark in it right now. If I wanted to take it down, essentially, and I haven't done it yet, but they say you can take the laser power down, or it also has a burn time. The burn time I found, I did mess with it a little bit, and it's on 100% laser power right now, but the burn time is literally at 19 milliseconds. So the burn time on it, I played with that a little bit, and if you increase it even a few milliseconds, it will majorly burn a lot more. It'll even, depending on what you're burning on, you'll start getting smoked edges where you're getting like a haze on the next to the print. So, and changing that down, that's the other option, is I could go downward and get even a finer print. So that's an option with this one that those two machines or three machines don't have, right? Or you do have half
My
of it?
3000 does, my 1500 does not.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I was playing last night after I got the 3000, because, hey, it's Christmas candy store type of situation, you know what I mean? On this sheet, the skull and crossbones was burned at 1 speed at the top, and I increased the burn rate, or burn seconds, towards the bottom of it. You can see the smoking of it. The little star on the top, it was increased even further, so you can see that. And then on the back side, I changed the burn rate. No, the laser intensity on the back ones, and you can see the difference. And that's why I did it. I was playing with it just last night, this 3000 machine, which is virtually the same as yours, your laser. So you can see what he's talking about on that cardboard.
The other thing to consider with these is that if you're doing a piece of wood that has got a grain to it, like ash or oak or something where it's a big open porous grain, you'll get a very different effect in those open pores than you will in the hard part of it.
Yep.
Same with spalting. You get spalted areas where they're darker and lighter. Your burn area typically is softer in one area than the other, and you're going to get a darker burn and a lighter burn, and it really does. We did a photo of our dog, and I did it on a piece of pine, and it had a line going up the pine, and it was just a little bit darker on one side than the other, not much at all, and it ruined the picture. I mean, it was enough that it made the picture to where it wasn't desirable. So you really want a plain area, plain burn area when you're picking your burn area.
Talking about that, here's another sample. It's a piece of oak veneering that I burned last night. Same skulls that's going around. You can see that oak has a lot of color variations in it. You will see that this is terrible because of the color variations in the wood. Changing the burn time on that, slowing the burning down and increasing the burn would have helped on that oak. But you gotta play to know. There's another piece of cardboard going around. You can see the different burn times on the 1500 machine and its burn rate, and you can see how light it is all the way to the dark. And that's just playing with the times.
Another thing too, compared to his machine with these ones here, is that we can pause them. So essentially, when we pause them, it's supposed to freeze it where it is, and I haven't done it. You freeze it, and then you could readjust the eye or do whatever you wanted to do, look at it, and then you could restart it again. And it should take off back from where it started again, as long as you didn't move the laser or your pattern. That being said, that might be one way on a bowl or something that you could burn a ring. If you did it in segments, you could burn a ring and then have it centered to where that it recenters itself, and then do another ring on the outer and keep working down the side of the bowl so that you're not getting such a varied effect. It might be possible to do it that way. Talking about 3D printers, we bought one last year as well, a cheaper one for our business. This box is 3D printed. So it's crazy the technology and stuff that you can do with it. Took about 6 hours to print it. So.
One other thing.
6 hours?
6 hours.
They're talking
Print the layer
about,
database.
manuals and stuff. This is the Benson Pace manual for the rotatory jig. I mean, he was a teacher in his past life.
Oh, yeah, you could.
Because I mean, it's step by step. If you screw it up, number one, you don't know how to read. Number two, you don't know how to follow pictures. He does an excellent job. The one that he makes for the 3500, you get a bigger packet than this with it because there's more parts to it. This was actually for the boxed lasers. And it's just, I mean, everything you need to know is in there. So there are still some people who do put out manuals. The laser people don't, the manufacturers.
Actually, the two that I came with a manual now.
Oh,
Yeah, mine did too.
Identical, the same manual, so it's kind of misleading.
Does the manual actually tell you how to do anything?
It's the same manual as the tutorial has on the program. So it goes through everything in it. And it's actually, this machine was bought in 2017, 16, late 16, early 17, about the same time you did yours.
16.
This was bought recently, night and day difference, because you got a little floppy thumb drive with that one, that who the hell knows where it's at now. And this one came with all kinds of stuff. So,
Another thing you have to consider about these lasers, as you see, mine stopped working. They have a limited lifetime. If you do use them, like I've been using mine quite a bit this year, after a while they will just burn out and you have to replace them. So the good thing is when you do replace them, you can go with a higher wattage laser, but you probably have to replace the motherboard that runs it also. But you're only going to get maybe a year or so out of that laser.
The laser eye itself.
Right.
yeah. But it is only about $15 to $25, depending on which one you get.
Yeah, I think mine, if I looked in front, it was around 50 or 60 bucks for mine, for the laser.
You're buying from there.
I think it's 100 for the 10 watt.
Oh, that was from-
Buying
that
from
was
the wrong place.
inside.
Yeah, from the wrong place, let me tell you. Yeah, because I thought about trying to get a laser for that one and thinking that might be what it is, and it was $12.74 for the same 1500 milliwatt, microwatt, whatever you call it. But the laser's fine because I took the laser out of this one and swapped them, and it burns just fine. So I know it's not the laser, it's either the board or the battery backup is why that's good. So I'm burning one right now. And I turned it around so everybody could see it in here. And what I'm going to do, because I don't care about it, I want you to see the feed rate it is right now. And then I'm going to turn the burn time, is what they call it, down, and watch how it speeds up. Yeah. Can you see it? There you go. I am at 26 milliseconds. See how fast it's going? And now I'm going to change it to 74. It's still throwing full 1500 power to it, but the faster it moves, the less it's obviously going to burn, which means it's going to be a lighter burn. Just like that cardboard that I passed around, that lighter one was a lot less burn time versus the darker one that is almost too dark, because if you brush your finger across it, it takes the charring of it and wipes it across the page. So you almost have to, if you want to keep it, you almost have to spray like a hairspray or something on top of it to have that set, and then you'd be okay.
Krylon makes a matte finish too that you could use.
Something to that.
Yeah.
I can almost steal it from my wife though. She doesn't know. This probably shouldn't go up on YouTube. Aquanet is a beautiful thing. Oh, that's age. It just depends on what you're looking for and playing around a little bit. I usually leave mine around 50 to burn because it seems like it's, in most of the stuff I do, 50 is a pretty good burn time. Unless I'm using a wood really soft, and then it does.
This plywood that he's got that I'm burning on right now is really soft and it's burning really dark.
Yeah, it is.
So
Looks
if
cool,
you
though.
rub it, we'll pass it around when it's done. But if you rub it, it'll transfer charcoal or whatever you want to call it around. Guaranteed. And it's almost done.
Now, I'm going to lift this up, hopefully it won't disconnect me. But I want to show you on this, as you're burning it, the picture is black when you start out, and as you burn it, it turns red. So you can track on your computers how far you are. I'm about almost
2/3 or 1/3.
Yeah, a little over a third done, maybe a little.
You want to just come over there?
Yeah, that'd be all right.
And then you can see mine too, and you can see on it how close you are. Yeah, so we're down here. The red area is what's burned so far. That black area down there is what we still have to burn on mine. His is all red.
Toenails on.
Toenails on it.
Zoom in a little bit. Can you get it? That almost still looks red. I'm red down to about this mark here.
Almost half.
Yeah, about this line right here.
And will yours do an outline rather than back and forth?
Yeah.
It won't go, mine won't go around the outside of something unless I pick it in that earlier screen that had 9 where it was just an outline of it, then it'll burn it. But it'll still burn going from top to bottom. Does that make sense to everybody? And then it's the same fashion for the rotary jig. It starts on one side, starts burning, and it just, ever so little bit, every time it moves down and burns another line, it rotates that jig one little notch and burns, and that's why the rubber band on it works really well.
So to kind of follow up on what he asked, vector carving versus raster carving, is that available on some of these smaller units?
Where it's just does the outline?
Raster, it will do a vector?
From what I read on this one is that it starts out with the outline. It shows you the outline first, and then I haven't figured that out yet though, honestly. So I don't know whether you can get it to burn just the outside first, if that's the question.
Well, when I had a laser engraver at school, you could, if you were doing something like a line drawing like that, you could set it to vector,
Right.
and it would just burn the lines and not do
Not do the fill. Yeah, and I don't
think
think it has that option on mine.
This one does. This will be.
yours does?
Correct.
Okay, cool.
And if you saw the box that didn't turn out, that was just the outline.
Okay.
10 minutes, guys. 10 minutes.
So as these are burning, we ain't killed the power to this place yet, so that's not a bad thing. Do you have any other questions, please?
Yeah,
Now's the time.
let's get them answered.
So Bob, so one of the things, you said you bought yours for one reason to sign your work,
Right.
but then you started describing how, well, various wood is different and everything, you know.
Yeah.
Are you confident you're gonna be able to take any random piece and?
I think so, because for one, I don't turn a lot of open forest grain wood. I mean, I do some ash.
You said you didn't like color variation in wood. Or is it simply
Well, it's
just-
mainly the color variation in the wood, or the grain, the open grain. So if I was doing something with spalting, I'd pick an area with no spalting lines. or any areas that I thought were softer than the other ones. Like down in grain, where it would burn. So you gotta pick your area. And then you could always test it on a piece of scrap that you have. I mean, I imagine we all have a little chunk of that left somewhere. Yeah. So
Turned out really good.
On that. Or you can also shrink your signature down the rub.
So it'll fit.
Yeah, to fit. So my thought was, after I got it all designed and I put that first one on there, I was like, man, this looks like it's almost too commercialized now. So it's like, okay, did I just shoot myself in the foot?
You're gonna have to.
Because I don't want people to think.
Sign it by hand, take a picture of it.
Right.
Use that.
Well, the font that I use is actually a created font by an individual that gives you public rights to it. So it's kind of a personal font, but yeah. Anyhow.
How'd you turn the toothpick?
What's that?
How'd you burn the toothpick?
Okay, so the toothpicks, being repetitive. Something that you want to burn 100 of them, or 50 of them, or 20 of them, or 5 of them, or whatever. You need to be able to put your ball right in the same spot each time and burn something else on it. So the easy way to do it is to get your laser set up to where it's in one solid area where it can't move. Okay, can't slide around on you, because these things do move a little bit occasionally when they're bouncing back and forth. So get it set up in an area where it's not going to move, screw it down, whatever you got to do. And then I took and just cut a saw kerf in a piece of scrap about 2 inches tall. So I cut a saw kerf in it, and I literally glued a block on each end where the toothpick would be held in the center of it. And I hot glued the toothpick down to my bed that this sets on. In the right place. So all I had to do was take the toothpick out, put a new one in. Take the toothpick out, put a new one in. And it burned the same area. I didn't have to adjust it every time. All those toothpicks that went around took about 40 minutes or so to print. Once I got it all dialed in, so it wasn't really a big deal. So you can get repetitive if you were needing to repeat things for a customer. But I want to see where this goes with getting crazy, like with basket illusion stuff. You know, this could open up a few other channels to do drawings with that, I think, and I think that might be cool if it's a flatter piece. So there's a lot of different ways this could go. Mine's almost done. His is done.
But it wasn't detailed very much. It was just something cute. I'm going to go to the photo gallery now, real quick.
Yeah, there you go. Show them that.
I'm going to go to all. So there is a 346 images that you can choose from.
That's just on their cloud system.
Yeah. I mean, any bizarre, which is the tribal stuff, animals, and then there's, well, I'm sorry, 345 pages of 15 images. 12, excuse me, not 15, 12. So that is
44,000 images.
It's 300 and something dozen.
Yeah.
345 dozen, if they're all filled. I don't know if the last page is filled on each of them. No, they're not. This is 4 short of it.
So you could actually take these images too and modify them in your own program and then bring them back in too and redo them if you didn't like something about them. Any of your paint programs or draw programs you could do that with.
Yeah, definitely.
One of the other things, I've unhooked this. I hook it just up to power and a USB, and I hit the cute little red button up there. Whatever's down here, it will burn that dragon again. So that dragon is actually stored on the memory on here. The way I know is I have a dragon on this red. I couldn't get it to work, and I kept hitting that button. Then I realized that all it's doing is sending it to the little card in here, and it started burning on the plastic. So the nice thing about these is if you're doing, like Robert was doing, 60 toothpicks, you set up your jig on there, you could unhook it from the computer and just hit the button and it would do them.
So here's this one done, and you can see a little bit of smoke from the top. So this one on this wood is way too dark. It should have been lightened up.
And it's trial and error.
Yeah.
You burn one and you go, oh, that's way too dark. So as that test one's being burnt, you lower the burn rate, or you lower the laser setting until you get what you want after a while, and then you stop it, put a new disc in there and restart it and burn your good one.
So if you're doing like a bottom of bowl, you want a signature, all this sort of thing, can you start it lighter and then go over it several times?
Yeah, in
Yeah,
fact, I
just
have
like
an
you
option
said.
where I can, or these all do, where you can multiple times. You can go over it 4 times, 3 times, whatever you want to do.
So you're better off starting light. And
Good.
And then if you want it more, you can go.
Absolutely, you could. I'll pass that around. Try not to run your fingers over it, or
You're gonna get
you're
black.
gonna get black and it'll smear it. You can see how dark that printed on that plywood piece, though.
Any other questions? Okay, that's the best. Thank you.